Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Sarah Roche. I'm a technology coach up in program. Today, we are going to be focusing specifically on screencasting and looking at the idea of the flipped classroom. If you get a chance right now, just settle in, have one tab open in order to watch us on the YouTube channel and another one in order to collaborate with us. I'm going to flip screens and get started. For Tech Tuesday today, we are going to be focusing on the idea of screencasting, both from a teacher perspective and a student perspective. One of the apps that we are going to be examining is Educreations, which is both on the iPad as well as a web-based tool. And within this, we're going to take a quick examination of what it means to have a flipped classroom with the design of screencasting. And we're just going to glimpse that at the end of it. Remember that our session is saved on YouTube under the channel DPCDSB Chats. So don't worry about taking notes. Watch what we're doing and listen and ask questions along the way. If you need to ask questions, you can ask within the document link every Tuesday. So if you're not sure now and you have questions later on, you can always come back and ask questions at this time. It doesn't matter if it's centering within what we're doing in Tech Tuesday. You can also ask questions within Twitter or Yammer using the hashtag DPChats. So when screencasting, the one idea of it is that we're using a digital recording or computer screen, so something that we're taking a screenshot of. We're going to video screen capture, and usually it contains an audio narration, much like you're listening to right now. I'm screencasting to you, teaching to you about a topic, and this is something that a teacher would do or a student would do in order to demonstrate their thinking or to create examples or model learning. So the one thing that we did say was the importance of making our thinking visible, whether it be from a teacher's perspective and helping a student understand how to find the solutions or how to work through a concept in their course, and or as well as having a student to teacher learning. So you have to think that one way a student is demonstrating their learning, or a teacher has the lecture as an assignment. So they're developing their lecture, so students would go and then watch that before coming into their class. And one way you can do this is by using an app called Educreations. When students are thinking about the idea of screencasting or teachers having the students watch, we are working on the idea of students becoming self-directed and responsible learners. So they're able to demonstrate and go home, and they're able to set goals in order to prioritize their school, their work, their personal life. They now have to go home and watch the videos, which at this point, it creates the ability for them to be flexible and adaptable and work at their own pace, but also have to learn how to regulate that time and manage it. When watching a video, they have to learn how to effectively communicate what they did watch, how to make decisions, how to problem solve, but watching their videos, and how really to manage their time and resources. The idea about being a self-directed, responsible learner really works through everything they do within every course and leads them into being employable into their future careers, wherever it is they may be going within their vocations. So when using Educreations, the screen here shows the app on the iPad. You can also use Educreations on the web and create your lessons from there. But today we're going to take a look at some of the tools and features within the iPad app. So I'm just going to go into here, and it's going to come up to my page where it has the first two lessons. So at this point, you've already set up your account and gone into the web and created a login and created a course. Now it's time to add a video to the library to share with your students. So the way that we do this is by video creation, and we can place platform, whether it be within the PC, on any laptop, or an iPad, and it can be uploaded directly to your Educreations account. So the first part is you can create a new lesson by either clicking on the tab on the top right where you see the little plus sign. So if I go into that, you'll see that it comes up with an interactive whiteboard for you to record your video. In the middle, there are colors for text that are clickable to change and select. So if I press down on them, you can see that I can reset colors and work around with this and work with my palette there and whatever it may be. The recording tool is over to the left where the little microphone is, and you can see that we use that. And when we touch this, it begins to record what I'm saying and what I may be writing and whatever is happening on the page. So whether I'm explaining something, talking through a lesson, and if I need to pause, you see that there's a pause button up on the left. Pause it. I can move and create a new slide, and then I can choose to add something. So anytime you see this plus sign, it means that I can add something. The A there means a text. So if I press on that, I can then begin to write. I tap on the screen with it. And so if I'm not recording, I can then choose to create the page itself. So I may go in here, I might add a few things, take a look into my camera roll, and be able to then move things around a little bit. And that little pointer you see up at the right with the blue little hand, this tells me that I can then move this around. So I can use text, I can add in pictures, I can add in moments, whatever I may be doing. I can then open up my camera right there and take a picture of something that I'm looking at. So it all depends on what it is that you're screencasting, but you can have as many slides that have to do with your introduction. So we can insert our image icons, we can definitely clear the screen, we can create it beforehand, or we can create it in a moment. If we go back and take a look, we can see here when I ask if I want to save my video, I just press save finished, and I just know that this is a tester, and I choose whether to publish it, make it private or public, can fill in all those things and save it. Here it goes into my shared library, and down below it, so I'm in my first one with the one single person. You can see that one below it is multiple people. When I'm going in for the first time and logging in, you're able to decide to create a course. I've gone in here, and I can then create and put in the lessons that I've designed into my class. So if I go back again, I can just simply hold down on what we just did, and it will come up with some options. And I can say add to and the course that I designed. When I go back down below and I open up my course, I see that the one that we just designed together is in there. And my students can then go in and find the lesson with the code that's below within the lesson. So they can find all these lessons within our course. Another great thing is if you, down right at the bottom, you're going to see a star. Here you can see some examples of different lessons already created from math, science, language arts. So there's some real great ones already designed. If we take a look, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to show you one of them for the gas laws.
I want to take a moment and look at the different gas laws that we've been studying. For the gas laws, they involve the variables pressure, volume, and temperature, also the number of moles. So we have two skills that we want to do. First is we want to look at a problem and recognize what kind of problem that is, and then solve that problem. The different gas laws involve these units. Okay, we have pressure of a gas, the volume, the temperature, number of moles of gas. Now, for all of our problems here, the number of moles is not going to enter into it because we're saying that whatever container of gas we have, we're not adding any gas, we're not removing any gas, there's no leaks, so that kind of stays out of the picture. One law we've had is pressure and volume, and we notice that these two are inversely proportional, so when one goes up, the other goes down. When we have volume and temperature, if you heat up a gas, it gets larger, and if you cool down a gas, it gets smaller. This one here, pressure and temperature, if you heat up a gas, it gets a higher pressure, and if you cool it down, it gets lower pressure. Now, these three can all be combined into what we call the combined gas law. And it turns out that's really the only law you have to have in your head, because the other three are special cases. So if the temperature does not change, then it becomes the first law, Boyle's law. If the volume doesn't change, then it becomes the second law, or the third law, Gay-Lussac's law. And in the same way as if the pressure doesn't change, then we're talking about Charles' law. So if you just have this combined gas law in your head, that'll cover most of these different problems. Let's try one. A balloon filled at 99 kilopascals on a day when the air temperature is 19.0 degrees Celsius has a volume of 21 liters. What's the volume of the balloon if it's moved to the top of a mountain where the pressure is only 75 kilopascals and the air temperature is 15 degrees Celsius? First thing to do is to sort out this problem and find out what do we have available to us. If I say I've got 19 degrees Celsius, immediately I'm going to knock that out and change that into Kelvin. So I take that temperature and add 273. So 273, that's almost 20, so it'd be 283, 293 minus 1, 292 Kelvin. Same thing here is 15 degrees. So if I had 273, it'd be 283 plus 5, 288. Now if I don't change those to Kelvin, my answer is going to be wrong. Okay, so this is the temperature. This is the temperature. Okay, what else do I have? 99 kilopascals, that's the pressure. And 21 liters, that's a volume. And 75 kilopascals, that's also a pressure. And my question is, has a volume. What is the volume? So that's a new V. So I've got two P's, I've got two T's, and I've got two V's. So this must be a P1 V1 over T1 equals P2 V2 over T2. Kind of a problem. So now let's find our numbers. Okay, so a balloon filled 99 kilopascals. Has a volume of 21 liters. Okay, when the temperature is 292 Kelvin. Okay, now I need the P2. Okay, what is the volume? So this is X. If it's moved to the top.
I'll stop there and give you a little bit of an idea here that just when, whether it be the teacher or whether it be a student talking about a problem, how they're thinking of the problem, what that looks like, I think that is so imperative to learn it. So you think of that idea, if you're being able to screencast as a teacher, the students are able to go back and review and understand the content at their own pace. You can see here that I've now paused it, and I'm able to go back, and before teacher even continues, if I don't understand something, I can choose to move back a little bit and move through the different parts that the teacher had gone through. And I can then understand, maybe I didn't understand how he changed the temperature, go back and hear his thinking when it came to that, and then move through each step of the way. And I can view this various times before I come into class and then begin working with more problems in the same manner. So one great thing about screencasting is that you're able to then have the students understand the content before they come into class. And then you could really engage with content and work on different tasks, and you can then facilitate as a teacher and walk around knowing that they were able to watch the videos previous to your lesson, and then you can actually help them in any problem areas where they may be struggling, or maybe lifting them up to something a little bit more challenging if they're finding this too easy. At the same time, students can use the same program and apply their thinking and talk through the program, so you as the teacher can then understand their thinking and maybe how they got to each part of the problem, and if they are struggling in some way, at what part that they kind of it fell apart, or they made a slight mistake that changed the entire question overall. And this can be done for so many different types of subjects. It doesn't really matter. It all depends. You could be taking that look and they're looking at a body paragraph. Maybe they're analyzing the work and breaking apart and talking about each part of their writing. You can understand what they're thinking and how they're getting to where they are. So for everything here, you can even see when we go into the idea of creative arts, they break apart the idea of major scales, or being able to understand how to write the notes within the scales. So here we come to the idea of we're able to demonstrate our thinking with this with music. We're able to demonstrate our thinking here with our science, with our language, and definitely to see the ability within math, right? That they can sit there and be able to break apart their question and explain their thinking. And with everything, we want to not only see the end result with the students, but we want to understand how they got there. And we also want to enable the students to work at their own pace. So as teachers, if we design screencasts for them that enable them to work at their own pace, then they're going to be able to reach their full potential, because they can go back and understand it and rewatch a video. Sometimes in live lessons, you can't repeat what was just said. So that brings us to our final point, that flipped learning is one way to be able to have direct instruction moved from the group learning space to an individual learning space. And the resulting group space is transformed now into dynamic, interactive learning environments. So at this point, the educator guides students and applies the concepts and engage creatively in the subject matter. What we think about, though, mostly, is that when we think of screencasting, a flipped classroom is a little bit different. That's when you're creating a video and you're showing them exactly what to do. With flipped learning, it's the idea of having them go back, have a reading, or maybe working on extra problems, and then coming back and engaging with that material. So there are those two ideas. So this flipped learning here is that really the two things that are the same about flipped learning and the flipped classroom is that you're coming back to a dynamic learning environment in which you're engaging with the material because the students have taken something and engaged with the content at home before coming in.
I'm Aaron Sams, and I teach science here at Woodland Park High School. My ultimate goal, I guess, as a teacher is to help students become learners who can learn for themselves and by themselves. One of the problems that I was guilty of even prior to flipping my classroom around was the classroom was centered around me. I told them exactly what to learn, how to learn it, what assignments to do to learn it, and when to learn it, and how to prove to me that they learned it. I don't do that anymore. Change the place in which content is delivered. Instead of standing in front of a class delivering, here's how you do this type of problem, here's how this works, I deliver that direct instruction now asynchronously at home through these videos that we make with Camtasia Studio. Kids come to class, they don't show up to learn new stuff, they show up to apply the things that they learn at home and to ask me questions about the things they learned at home. So now they can have my lesson, if you will, what I would normally have stood up and lectured to them in class with some added features. They get that at home. Then what they were expected to do for homework is now what they do in my class. Life is different for me because I no longer am the guy who stands up in the front of the classroom and just yaks at a student for an hour or however long the class is. Now I walk around the class and I help kids. I'm a tutor, I'm a guide, I'm the putter outer of fires, whatever it happens to be. In my crazy chemistry class, I walk around and do that. I don't stand up front and teach on the kind of the traditional model. I'm Aaron Sams.
Great, I'm just going to find my way back to you now. So hopefully you were able to pick up on a few different strategies in order to use screencasting within your instruction or with the students in order to make their thinking visible or the learning visible itself. If you get a chance, within the page that you picked up the YouTube link, you'll find a link that brings you to an exit survey. It's just a couple questions to know whether or not this session was helpful and what you look for in future sessions. So thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, on Any Tech Tuesday, if you have questions about sessions that have happened in the past, you're always welcome to come in and ask us questions during that time. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you next Tech Tuesday.